In today's safari, we're looking for the mysterious Mothman. What do we know about the Mothman? That's a good question. Story goes that it was first spotted on November 1966 at Point Pleasant, West Virginia, in an abandoned World War II munitions plant. They said that it chased a group of teenagers. Of course, the teenagers said they were just hanging out and not even looking for weird creatures. But then, they spotted two glowing red circles in the dark. They thought it was just reflections or lights at first, until the lights moved. The car's headlights hit a creature standing about 10 feet tall. It was man-shaped, but clumsy-looking on the ground, with a gray, dusty color. The most striking part? Those eyes. They were described as glowing red bicycle reflectors. They hauled out of there as fast as they could towards their homes in Point Pleasant, with the creature flying behind them. It kept up with their car, sometimes reaching up to 100 miles per hour. Once they reached the city limits of Point Pleasant, the creature peeled off and vanished into the trees. The couples drove straight to the sheriff's office, looking pale and genuinely shaken. That's where we are going, by the way, that abandoned munitions plant, also called TNT area nowadays. Don't worry, we're safe in this rig. Since then, it's been spotted in many other places, including Russia. Think of the Mothman like this, a creature that looks like it was carved out of obsidian. He's 12 feet of jet black, powerful limbs so long and thin they look like they'd snap until you see him move. But don't let the spindly build fool you. He's so heavy that when he perches on a telephone pole, the wood creaks under his mass. His wings are like velvet curtains that soak up light, and his eyes look like glowing coals. Since initial sighting, he's been seen in many places. Residents in city penthouses have reported him hovering outside high-rise windows. Imagine looking up from your laptop at midnight to see a shadow man watching you from 30 stories up. The Mothman was also spotted down south in Charleston, West Virginia. They called him the roof hopper. However, unlike the Point Pleasant Mothman, who mostly stayed away from the city, the hopper was attracting attention in the middle of a city. Many stories responsible for his namesake have him leaping from sidewalks to 3-story buildings in a single bound. Witnesses described him up the rooftop in one fluid motion. He'd vanish into the dark of the upper ledges before anyone could even call for help. Another popular story has him hanging around an old brick apartment chimney that quite a number of witnesses claim to have seen. In the famous Ruth Foster case, and many others like hers, she looked out her window and spotted him outside her neighbor's apartment. She watched the creature scuttle vertically up the brickwork like a massive 200-pound insect. By the time her brother-in-law ran outside to help, the roof was already empty. But he's most famous for what happened in 1967, the Silver Bridge. 46 people lost their lives that night, and witnesses swear they saw him perched on the iron cables as the whole thing went down. But the horror didn't start with the collapse. For a year and a half after that Point Pleasant chase, locals were reporting the same weird incidents. Dozens of people were waking up having the exact same nightmare of drowning in the freezing Ohio River. Then the phone started acting up. People would pick up the receiver and hear nothing but a high-pitched screech, like a woman screaming through a broken radio. Some say that was him, whispering. Everything came to a head on December 15th at 5 o'clock, rush hour. The bridge was a parking lot, bumper-to-bumper commuters just trying to get home for dinner. Then, one tiny eyebolt snapped. The whole bridge didn't just fall, it folded like wet cardboard. In the middle of the screaming and the plunging headlights, the survivors looked up, and that's where they saw him, high on the iron cables. He didn't help, he didn't move. He just watched 46 people sink into the black water. He was just taking it all in. My favorite Mothman story goes to the Chicago O'Hare Airport. The year was 2017. It started as a normal night shift for a postal worker named Tammy. It was 11 p.m. and she was walking to her car in a remote parking lot. The kind of place where the only sound is the hum of the airport's ventilation and the distant roar of a jet engine. She felt it before she saw it. That feeling like a cold finger running down your spine. She looked up at a 10-foot-tall light pole. Perched on top was a man in a trench coat. Or, that's what she thought. But the proportions were all wrong. The limbs were too thin. The torso was too thick. And it was crouched in a way no human body could manage without snapping every bone in its legs. Tammy did what anyone would do. She hit the panic button on her keys. Her car lights flashed. In that split second of light, the trench coat opened. It wasn't fabric, it was wings, massive, leathery, and dark as a wet road. The creature didn't fly away, it jumped. It landed on the pavement 10 feet in front of her with a heavy, wet thud. Tammy said it sounded like a bag of meat hitting the ground. She scrambled into her car and locked the doors. She looked up just in time to see 2 glowing red circles pressed against her driver's side window. They weren't eyes like ours. They were flat, solid, reflective. Then it just left her alone. It just flew away with no reason. Since that night, over 50 people at O'Hare have seen the exact same thing, watching the planes, waiting for the next crash. It's still there, folks. Just look up. All right, everyone, stay sharp. We just saw a shadow move on the roof of that warehouse. Let's wait and see. It could be the Mothman. Wait, Marty, what are you doing? Stay in here. We're safe. Out there, you're just a snack.
They're paying to see the Mothman. Let's show them the Mothman through the monitors. You can hear me through the radio. I'll be fine.
What was that? Marty?